podcast is a show where we shift the conversation back to books. We'll discuss themes from some of our favorite fictional books and how those themes show up in real lived experiences.
On today's episode, we're hosting a book club episode about Happy Place by Emily Henry.
But first, if you've been enjoying this podcast, we would like to humbly ask that you support us in just a few simple ways. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and let us know how much you're loving the show.
And we'd also love for you to follow us on Instagram at Redirect Podcast. And finally, if you really, really love the show, we'd love for you to share the show with a friend. We'd love to bring your friends into our community of book-loving nerds.
Share away. And this is the highly anticipated Happy Place episode.
Happy Place by Emily Henry.
By Emily Henry. So,
thoughts
and we
and
will
prayers
be
to all people who are waiting on their pre-order
Yes.
that they got from an independent bookstore.
Actually, though, I have to take back what I said off recording about bookshop.org, because they did on my tracking notification say I would not get it until next Friday, but it actually came the day after release day. So I had already mostly finished it on my Kindle, so I just finished it that way. But I have to take back my disparagement of them, because I did get it pretty soon after it was released.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like, it probably would have been fine if you weren't trying to get a crunch, like, to record this. So.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, you probably didn't even need that much time, because it was so good. I finished it so fast.
Yes. I was genuinely worried. I was like, am I going to, because I went to see Taylor Swift on Friday, obviously. Not obviously, but of course. What else? And then my mom was here all weekend. So when I was thinking about this, I was like, okay, I won't have any time this weekend to read. So if I'm going to finish this book, it has to be during the week. And, between work and everything, I read less on the weekdays. So I was like, am I going to be able to finish this in time? I really hope so. But once I read like 10 pages, I could not stop reading.
I think I sent you like this, I'm only 2 chapters in, and then I sent you like a syringe emoji,
Yes.
a cigarette, and a pill.
Yes. It was like, I don't know. It was like so addicting to read this book. So I finished it in like 2 days. It was.
So obviously we really loved it.
Oh yeah. No, I hated it actually.
But before we like get into like the specifics of this book, I feel like this is a 4 out of 4 times that I've read an Emily Henry book and been like, drugs. So why? Like, what is it about her books that make them so popular? Why are all 4 of her books now being made into TV or to movies? Like, what is it that makes them so addicting?
So Emily Henry is fascinating to me because, in my opinion, I feel like there's 2 types of really, really famous authors. Ones that aren't that good and ones that are really good and deserve the hype. But for me, I think Emily Henry has appeared at the perfect time in which romance are really, the genre as a whole is having like a moment. And we talked about that before in our romance tropes episode, I think. So you can go listen to that for more on romance books as a whole. But so I feel like she just came in at this right time of the romance book renaissance. But I also feel like every time I read one of her books, I feel like instantly, like I either am these people or I know these people. Like her characters feel so real that, like I think there's some books that are like self-insert books because the characters are so bland. But these feel like self-insert books because the characters are so real, and you feel like either you know them or you are them or you've been through that experience. And so I just really, really like, and I love the scenarios she cooks up for us. I think they're just really like tasty.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think about Emily Henry?
I agree with everything you said. I also think part of what makes her books so readable and like make people love them so much from the beginning is she does a lot of showing, not telling. And she doesn't waste a lot of time at the beginning of her books with exposition.
Yeah.
So she will do this thing where the first chapter of the book, for this book and others, is a current moment. And then it's kind of like I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So or she'll just start kind of like explaining what's going on, and you'll get like, she'll kind of breadcrumb for you, like the background, but she doesn't send 3 paragraphs going. And so 3 years ago, I met so-and-so. And then like, she'll do these little vignettes and stories that keep the pace up at the beginning,
That's so
which
true.
is where a lot of authors lose new readers or
Mm,
new readers to their books,
yeah.
is that like they're like, okay, I need something that's going to draw me in. And she is really good at drawing you in from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree.
I, I think another thing too is that each of her books is in a very unique and specific setting, and she has a really strong sense of place. So, like, Beach Read was that house in Michigan. The People We Met on Vacation was the resort that she and her friend are staying at. And then Book Lovers obviously is in that cute little North Carolina town. And so she builds these little like really charming and exciting places that you can visualize that also
Yes.
adds like it's a character in itself.
Yes, I think that's so true because as you were saying all of those, I could picture like scenes in my mind of Emily Henry books that I've read
Yes.
before because they are so well described. And even like something in this book like the wine cellar and the little alcove under the
Yes.
stairs,
Yes.
things like that, even like within a small place, you feel like, okay, I'm visualizing this whole world. Like she's really good at the world building aspect of it without being like so like boring
Without
exposition,
dragging it down.
Yes.
Yeah. And so like exactly like these stories have to take place in the setting or
Hmm.
else it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the setting a character
Yeah.
and makes it so important. And so she gets you on that sense. The last bullet I wrote here was that they're really funny.
Yes. They
And she
are. They make you laugh out loud
there
and
is
cry.
yes. The humor is so cutting. And like the dialogue, like she does humor through dialogue, not just like, oh, someone goofed up or something weird happened. It's like just like the rat-tat-tat is
Yes.
just
I was going to say that too. Like, I have a whole other doc with all the quotes I highlighted from this book, but many of them are dialogue. And I think she writes, funny dialogue, but also like the romantic lines, they feel like, for the most part, obviously some of it is like a little bit idealized, but I think a lot of those, even those romantic one lines that like touch your heart, they feel like, okay, a real person might actually say this?
hmm
Whereas I feel like so many romance are like, okay, nobody talks like that, or like nobody would really say that? So I do think she does a really good job of making the dialogue really feel real as well. So
hmm
we are Emily Henry stans, is what
We
I'm
love
getting
you.
at. She to me
Yeah,
is like a season pass. Like I would never not buy a book she's putting out ahead of time. Like I'm always going to
totally.
pre-order her books because I
It's
know
going to
I'm
be
going to
the book
love
of the
them.
summer.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so to kind of maybe transition into this book, what I will say is excluding Book Lovers, which was her book that came out last year, um, her books do a really good job of balancing like heaviness and heart. And like, there are things like, yeah, they'll make you cry, or like there are things where like, I really don't know how this is going to work out, or, it will involve the death of a parent, or, there'll be something very serious that's going on. And, and so I think like book lovers, sorry, not I think I heard her on an interview talking about book lovers that she wrote that in 2020
Right.
and she was like no heaviness in this one.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a break,
Yeah.
but she kind of brought back some of those more serious elements in this
Oh
book.
yeah. And I think that's something I like about it too. Like, I don't know. It's hard to do well because as I discussed actually on our very last episode, or no, 2 episodes ago on our unpopular opinions episode, I don't necessarily love romance where like things are going wrong. But something about the way she writes it, I'm like, I love this. Like, I think it is just that tinge of sadness that's throughout the whole thing. I don't know, but I really like her books. I don't
Okay.
really know why.
Maybe we'll figure that out.
Yeah,
So what happens in this book?
so many things. So, um, okay, so it's a group of friends. The 3 girls, Cleo and Sabrina and Harriet, who's the main character, they were college roommates and became best friends, even though they're all 3 very, very different people, which kind of is highlighted throughout the book as well. And so they end up becoming friends, and then they kind of have this friend Win and a friend Parth who end up kind of coming into the fold. And the five of them kind of have this like long-standing friendship, and there's lots of memories of them all traveling to this house in Maine that Sabrina's parents own, or her dad owns, or her parents own it. And they always go there every summer. And so at some point, Harriet and Win end up getting together, and Sabrina and Parth end up getting together. You don't really know how that happened at the beginning. And then Win and Harriet had been together for about 8 years and gotten engaged, and then have just broken up several months ago, but they haven't told their friends yet about the breakup. And so they all end up coming back to this house for one last trip. And she didn't think Win was going to be there, so that was a shock. And then the reason that he's there is because Sabrina and Parth are choosing to get married at the end of the week, and it will be the last trip they ever can take to this house because it's being sold. So that's kind of the setup for the story, that there's all these surprises, and basically Win and Harriet decide, okay, we don't want to ruin, like, they keep emphasizing, like, oh, you guys showed us that love was real between friends and that it could work out and ruin a friend group. So like, okay, we can't ruin their wedding by saying we broke up. So we'll just tell them after this week's over.
So then they have to keep up the hoax
Yes.
of being together. Later on, they find out Sabrina and Parth already knew that they had broken up, and this was a way of trying to get them back together.
Wrong, but effective.
Yes, wrong but effective. And then also Cleo's partner Kimmy is there too, who's like the newest to the fold.
Yes.
And there's like some underlying tension there. Like they have a farm in upstate New York that Sabrina hasn't been to, and there's just kind of thing like undercurrent of like, okay, now that everyone's transitioning from their 20s to their 30s, people live all over the country, and like, can the group stay together, and how do we navigate life change? That's something you and I know a lot about.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I think this book, to spoil my thoughts, I think this is probably my favorite Emily Henry book ever. I mean, maybe it's recency bias, and maybe in a few months I can circle back. But I think something like, I have so many groups of 3 friend groups. I don't know why. I really don't recommend that to anyone, because I don't think it's it can be really difficult to navigate. But so that was super relatable, but also just like that feeling, of like, okay, things are changing. And I think someone like Sabrina, she is so scared of things changing that she's trying to like hold on and force them to relive their greatest hits, instead of just like, okay, things are changing, and let's all change together, and our friendship doesn't have to go away just because we aren't doing the exact same things we always did, or just because we aren't, the same kind of people we always were, or like, just because the 2 people break up doesn't mean things are going to change, but that doesn't have to be bad, is what I'm trying to say. So, but I think that can be really hard, especially in your 20s when things do change so much. You want your friendships to like stay the same as they were, and they just don't, and that can be difficult.
Yeah, or even like your hobbies and interests, like they're trying to replay all the greatest hits of the activities they would do in Maine.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like going out drinking and being crazy, but it's like, I have heartburn now.
Yeah, like, I want to go to bed.
I kind of just want to like hang out and play board games and like drink wine or
and
whatever.
Talk.
Like, and just, and talk. But there is the element there of like, if we just talk and we slow down, we might realize that things have changed.
Yeah.
And changes can't happen.
Yes.
And I get that fear.
I get that too.
I've obviously had long-term friendships.
Yeah.
We're a long-term friendship. It's like, things change, but doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah. Like, and just because I think there's the fear that they have that if they sit down and talk to each other, they're going to realize things have changed so much that it doesn't make sense to be friends anymore.
Right.
And I think that is, like tough. That's a tough thing to navigate. But this whole week seems very difficult to be with someone you were recently engaged to who broke up with you. Oh, by the way, on the phone in a 4-minute phone call, and then mailed your things back to you. I can't imagine that scenario.
So let's zero in on the relationship between Harriet and Win.
Yes.
So like in present day, so this book jumps back and it flashes back through like the origin up to the present of Harriet and Wynn's relationship.
Which I love.
Yes, again, on the record many times saying I'm a
Love a
time jump.
flashback. Yes.
I'm a time jump slut.
Yes.
So we don't really know what happened between them, and they haven't really talked about what happened between them.
No. They
And
basically haven't talked since that.
that is actually, to kind of flash forward, that's one of my criticisms.
Okay.
I just, like, I will allow it, but I just honestly do not think, like, so I'm engaged.
Yeah.
If me and Zach broke up over a 4-minute phone call, there is no way I would just let it go.
Yeah.
Like, we would have an in-person conversation.
I can buy that at least. I think eventually they would have, if this hadn't happened, that they would have had to like have a reckoning. But I kind of feel like because they had that distance, because they didn't have to face each other, I feel like I can kind of understand.
I guess so.
But I'm also insane, so I feel like if this was me in this situation and I was engaged, I think I would have been like, okay, no, I would have been calling every day until you're going to talk to me.
So here's the thing. I believe it could happen. I'm sure it could happen. I'm just saying, in my life,
yes, for me,
as someone who's engaged in my late 20s living with somebody, which is exactly their situation.
Yes.
I just don't know if I would let the 4-minute phone call stand.
Oh, yeah.
And even if we did stay broken up, I would want to investigate it more. Because I think that is the one kind of annoying thing about this book is it's not necessarily a miscommunication, but it's a lack of communication and honesty that's leading to these misunderstood feelings. And like a big thing that keeps coming up for both of them is she's like, oh, he's happy. Or like,
I hope you're happy.
He thinks
like
I'm happy, and I know that he's happy. So when he was with me, he wasn't happy.
Yes.
And he, he's happy now. So I shouldn't get in the way of that. And he has this perception that she's happier without him.
Yes.
When in reality, they're both miserable. They're just not telling the truth.
Yes. That was tough. Yeah. But I think that's also like Harriet's characterization that is like, I understand her to a degree. I think she's probably worse than me, but like the lack of like just thinking conflict is going to mean, like the end. If we can just avoid the conflict, then nothing bad will ever happen, instead of like being able to just deal with stuff.
That's why I didn't get it, because I embrace conflict fully.
Yeah.
So I would hate to not have the fight.
Yeah. No, it's definitely such a distinct personality trait of Harriet's that she in all senses is trying to avoid those like difficult conversations.
They both are.
Yeah.
So that's actually the problem, is that they're both conflict avoidant.
Neither one of them want to talk about stuff.
Right. Yeah. You don't have the one person in the relationship that's like, no, we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So anyways, we get the flashbacks of how they met in Maine on this trip. Mm-hmm. They're in college together, kind of secretly hiding their relationship, and there are lots of just great warm and fuzzies about that.
Yes. There's one quote I highlighted where they were still friends, and it's okay. It says, I remember telling Wynn that sitting by the fire, he looked like the devil, and him saying, stop flirting with me, Harriet, and me feeling angry and something else entirely. Like they're like this book, maybe more than any book I've ever read, the buildup of like friends to lovers, even though that's not even the main plot, it's like just the backstory. But their buildup felt so relatable to me because she's trying to be a good friend because her friend Sabrina like had a crush on Wynn, and they said no dating in the friend group. And then like, so she's trying so hard to like ignore the feelings she feels, but then that tension between them, I don't know. I was just obsessed with all of it.
I mean, it's really fun to watch it. And I think the really great, like especially good part about it is obviously in present time, they are reunited in Maine and they're faking dating. But obviously you have all this history that's unresolved with somebody. Like there's lots of tension there. There's lots of like, okay, are we pretend flirting or is this real?
Yes.
Was that a fake moment or was it intimate?
Yes.
Whatever. And you're seeing the shadow of that in their past, and some of the actions and things that they're saying to each other now were real in the past.
Yes.
So it's highlighting the fact, like, if you were just taking like a fake dating book, like a fake dating trope, like you're already like, oh, is this real or is it not?
Yeah.
But when you add in the element of showing the shadow of it in the past,
Yes.
it's like it adds this really rich component that
It
makes it
does.
better.
Yes, it's so much better than, and I love fake dating. Like that's a great trope to me. But this is like something else entirely that takes all the elements you love about fake dating because that's what they're doing. You know, it's not real, but is it? But then it's like you have all this history of them and falling in love and you get to experience that at the same time. And that's why I love a flashback because it's almost like you get two love stories. Like you're seeing them fall in love in the past and you're seeing them kind of like fall back in love in the present. And it's just so delicious.
Delicious. Jinx.
Yes. I don't even have any other words. I love this book.
Yeah. It was really lovely. There's just lots of confusing moments, and she's very confused, and he's very confused, and everyone's confused. And as far as like tropes, there's the fake dating, but I would also argue that this is a second chance love too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Also, there's a one bed trope
Yes, of
because
course.
they got put
Not
in the
only a
room.
one bed, but like a see-through bathroom with no privacy and you're showering at all.
Yeah, so we got and also a little bit of friends to lovers if you
Yeah.
count the backstory.
Although he always says, "You're not my friend," which I thought was incredibly like delightful as well.
Um,
Because he's like,
okay,
"Oh, I
no.
don't date my friends, but you're not my friend, Harriet."
Okay, so let me actually I'm going to pull a quote out now.
Pull it.
So she says, I feel bad for all the wins in the universes where you're with guys like Harvard Hudson. They're so miserable right now, Harriet. Or the Harriets in universes where I can't hear making up it.
I already know what you're saying.
Or the Harriets in universes where you're with the dancers named Allison of the world. I say, no, he says quietly. In every universe, it's you for me, even if it's not me for you. That's how it works. I don't care.
Yeah. And you know something I love too? I love a book where the guy is like falling really hard for the girl and like she takes longer to come around. I don't know. That's just like a great.
No, you know why? Because a friend said this, like I was in a group of friends where one friend was giving another one some dating advice.
Yeah.
And this is maybe controversial and maybe cancelable, but I stand by it. She was like, it works better when the guy likes the girl more in
I think that's
heterosexual
true.
relationship.
I think that's
Like
true.
he needs to feel lucky to be with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
not the
No, I
other way
agree.
around.
I agree. Yeah, I think especially too when you are falling for someone because I feel like, and this is just very, very stereotyping, okay? So I'm painting with broad strokes, but I feel like a lot of times women are a little more insecure about if this person really likes me or whatever. So I feel like it helps to have that. It kind of counteracts that a little bit. You know what I mean? Especially when you're first going into something with someone.
Well, I guess like when you think about it, let's say like imagine a scenario where it's a heterosexual relationship or it's an opposite sex relationship and the girl likes the guy more than the guy likes the girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's cringe, right?
Yeah,
All right,
unfortunately.
now imagine you're in a relationship and the guy feels like he's out kicking his coverage and he's like obsessed with the girl and she really likes him too, but that's not cringe.
Yes. And I think it also works really good on paper, which is this
Yeah.
like Win seems to from the second he meets her like be captivated by her and she takes a little bit longer to come around or like want to give in to the feeling she's feeling. So I think that's really, really nice that he says that like there's other universes where we don't end up together, but it's not because of me. Like I'm always going to be, it's me for you, but you know, maybe you go with someone else.
Which also he's saying this and she has the full knowledge that he's the one who ended things with her.
Yes.
So that's where it gets really confusing.
You're
'cause it's
confused. You're like, why?
He's like, I'm never going to choose anyone else. It's either
Yes.
you or nobody.
But then you're like, wait a second.
So why'd you break up with me? Well, clearly because you think I would be happier without you.
Yes.
So
what's
just,
that
gosh,
about?
talk about stuff.
Yeah, just have a conversation and this would have been avoided, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, so another quote that like to that she describes like to this whole like I don't want the other person to resent me. She said the thought of resenting Win like that is torture. The thought of him resenting me is even worse, of holding him back, keeping him away from what he wants. You know.
That's pretty much the central conflict here. So basically, you kind of get flashes of this through the thing, but he kind of where's he from? Montana? Yeah, he's from Montana, and his family is like very lovely and super warm and like the total opposite of Harriet's family, and just like welcomes her in, and just like genuinely love each other, which is unusual to her because her parents like don't love each other, and her sister and her don't have a good relationship. So um but they play a game one night in the past or whatever, where they talk about like what you would do if you had a second life, like if you had another life to live. And he's like, I think I'd just want to like stay in Montana and like be happy. So, and she like knows he's miserable. They live in California together, and she's in med school, so like she's in her residency, and she's working all the time, and she can just tell he's miserable. And so eventually his dad dies suddenly, and he goes back home. His mom is diagnosed with, I want to say Parkinson's. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she had it for a while, but then with his dad gone, they find out she also has Parkinson's, and so he goes home to take care of her, and that is the point in which they break up. And she feels like, even when they were together, but especially when they're apart, like, I can't make him come back. Like, I can't force him to live out this life with me that he's not happy in. Like, he wants to be with his family. He wants to be in Montana. And so I think that brings me to a conversation about how hard it is to like shape your life around someone. And I feel like I find it, I don't know. I was talking to a friend the other day about someone in her life who's getting married like right out of college. And I'm like, at the time, like when I was in college, we went to a Christian college, and so many people get married like the day after graduation. And at the time, you're like, oh, I want that so bad. But then now with hindsight, I'm like, no, that sounds like a terrible idea. Like, just wait a year or something, like you'll be more settled in life. You'll know where you're going. But I think it's really hard to like they met in college and started dating, and then just tried to follow each other, and never, until they break up, ask like, what do we actually want out of life? I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think, and that could happen at any time in life, but I feel like it's a lot harder when you're in your early 20s and you are making all these decisions about where to live and what you want to do. Obviously, like, you could be 40 and, your partner could get a job across the country, and you have to decide if that's going to be okay with you. But I feel like it's more common when you're younger, is what I'm saying. And I think that's hard.
So, and there's also the element of like, Wynn doesn't really know who he wants to be or what he wants to do. Like, he struggles with school. Mm-hmm. He feels like a little inadequate, and he kind of has this like bad habit of like really like, crapping on himself and like making fun of himself and being kind of self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Where on the other hand, Harriet feels like, I've always wanted to be a doctor. My parents are really proud of me being a doctor, so I'm just going to do it. But she kind of discovers through the course of the book, I actually think I don't really like this. I don't like the lifestyle. I don't like being stressed all the time, whatever. So there's that component too.
Yeah.
And also, this is advice I give friends a lot, where it's like, as the importance of somebody in your life, like a partner, grows, other things will adjust in accordance to that.
Sure.
The way that you weight your friendships or your family relationships or whatever, like, this person becomes more important than those other things.
Yeah.
But I think that's a little delicate when you're so young. Yeah. Because those other things aren't ready to be balanced yet. There's a lot more things that can disrupt the balance.
And I think it's hard when, like, I'm glad that by the end, Harriet came around to realizing she didn't want to be a doctor, because, to be honest, like, a good way to book through the book, I'm like, in my mind, like, they're not going to work out. Like,
same.
This isn't going to work. This is going to be a devastating book. Like, I'm going to be crying.
I kept going. I literally kept saying, there's no way that a book called Happy Place ends this sad.
I know.
But I was like, I don't think it's going to work out.
I know.
Because they have a few moments where they're like, okay, we do still love each other and stuff, but just this one night.
Yes.
Or like, just this, because we just know that it's not going to work out.
It's over.
So It's not like, oh, I realize we still love each other, but like,
No, no,
Let's get back together. It's
same.
just like we still
Yeah.
love each other, but it just doesn't make sense.
Yes. I have this part highlighted. She says internally, but a deeper part of me, a voice that's always been there, tells me it was always going to end this way. That I've known since that first trip to Indiana that I would never be enough to make him happy, that I couldn't give him the kind of love his parents had when my only education on the subject had been the one my parents had. So she like feels that way. So I was like, okay, this isn't going to work out. And I think it's really hard. My whole point is when one person is like, this is what I want to do, and it has to be in this location. Like, I feel like that's almost impossible because that's so rigid. I feel like you can work it out if you're like, okay, I don't know exactly what I want to do. Maybe we can figure something out together. But I think their biggest struggle was that Harriet, for most of the book, was like, I'm going to be a doctor. I have to be in residency. It's going to take this many years. Like, it's going to take a lot of my life, and it has to be in this location. And I don't know, and knowing Wynn's not happy there, there's nothing she can do. And so it is almost like, is love enough in
Yeah.
that situation? Like,
Maybe it
no.
shouldn't work out because
Yeah.
I would have hated it if it ended with her being like, I really want to be a doctor, but I'm not going to be
Yes.
because that would have sucked. But
That would have sucked.
I think she did a good job painting the picture of like Harriet actually doesn't want to be a doctor.
Yes, of how unhappy she was. And yeah, it built it up, and enough characterization of really like that she just wanted to make her parents proud, and she didn't want them to worry, and she wanted to like do the things her mom couldn't do, and be this person and prove them wrong about her and Wynn. And then she finally realized, like, I need to just make decisions for myself instead, you know? And so I think that was the moment. But I think that was a really good character development that was like, yeah, right. If it had ended with her being like, I will give up my dreams for you, that's like, no, don't do that. But it was like, no, you're helping me find my dreams instead of the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Emily Henry uses this theme throughout the book, or this device, I guess, where Harriet will be like, and there it is, like, I feel like my heart was being like,
Yes. Oh my
you.
gosh. I loved that.
I know. I was like, oh my God, please. I really want to die right now. But, but it's kind of, I think she uses that as a device to show that ultimately he is her happy place and he is her home. And you can't really put a price tag on that. Like,
yeah.
that's what it is. There is some level of destiny and fate. And at the end, you find out that he's like launching this furniture business in Montana.
Oh my God. And is like super successful.
Yes.
Like,
and
really.
she's gonna like move out there and be with him, and
Yes.
she's opening up her pottery studio. Oh, speaking of the pottery.
Yes.
One of my favorite line in the book.
Yes.
So he's asking, they're kind of catching up, and she's like, so like, what have you been doing? And she's kind of embarrassed. She's like, oh, like, I've just been like doing pottery. Like, I'm not very good at it, but like, it's really like kind of fun. It's just like an outlet for me to like kind of decompress and whatever. And he's talking about like, oh, since apparently this is another unbelievable thing. He's living with his mom, but his mom somehow doesn't know that he's not with Harriet anymore.
Yes. That was unhinged.
Yeah, that was crazy. But she sent a picture of the bowl a bowl that she made to Wynn's mom.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's a discussion. And then right at the end of that chapter, he turns to her and he said, I like the bowl. He says, she showed me a picture and I thought it was beautiful. And I don't know why that got me so hard.
Yeah.
But like the fact, like you can imagine his mom showing him this little thing that she made and it impacting him so much.
Yes.
It's just like, I don't know why that one got me so hard.
I don't know. I don't even remember where it was, but at one point when I was first reading this, I just like was just like crying like so much, and it wasn't even that serious, but I just something about this book. I was like, it's like I have to put this book down for the night because I'm not going to be able to sleep. It was like 9 p.m. And I'm like, I'm crying too hard. I need to, think happy thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Go to your happy place.
Yes. This book. Okay, so like to sum up this book. Well, first, should we talk about how they get together in the end?
Oh, so it's a classic airport run through.
But it's so good.
Which I don't even have any issues with. Like, I saw it coming because she's like going to the airport and I'm like, she's at the airport too early. This is going to be an airport meetup.
Yeah.
And so she's running out of the airport as
But
he's
I
running
also,
up.
in my mind, was like, okay, maybe she's leaving. Like, even to this point, I was still like, I don't know.
To that point, I'm like, I still believe this is going to end happily,
Yeah.
but also a part of me might think that she's not going, like, she's going to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah. So he she runs out, she makes it out of the airport and she's crying, and his car is already in the parking lot, and he like gets out of it and he's like, I was chasing after you, and she's like, no, I'm chasing after you. And then he says, okay, I'm just gonna read it. Because there's nowhere I wouldn't go for you, and if you get out to Montana and realize there's somewhere else you need to be, there's nothing I'm not willing to do to make it work. I'd rather have you 5 days a year than anywhere else all the time. I'd rather argue with you than not talk, and whether we're together or we're not, I'm yours, so let's be together, Harriet, as much as we can, as long as we can, as soon as we can. Everything else we'll figure out later.
I'm angry. I'm mad at her for writing that.
I'm unwell.
You just know that she was sitting there writing that and being like, I got
They're
him.
gonna love this.
She's like,
I got these people in the palm of my little hands.
I got them right here.
But it was so good because, yes, everything about it was good. Because even before that, they had had this final conversation where they were like basically saying goodbye. And like you think even then, like this is not going to work out. And so then that culminating moment, I don't know, I loved it. And then they live happily. She's got her pottery studio, and she has to disappoint her parents. And like that becomes okay to her. She's like,
Yes.
I'm okay with that. I'm going to live
Exactly.
my life for me, not for them, not for Win even, just for myself. And this is what makes me happy.
Right, but he gave her the courage to do that.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
is great.
I know. I loved it. There's a million more quotes I would read, but I won't. But it was
Do you
so
have
good.
any criticisms to keep it fair and balanced?
I will say, this is a fair criticism, I think, and it's not even my original thought, but I saw an early review of this book that was not very positive but it had a good explanation, because they had received like an advance copy, and they were like, I just feel like the marketing on this book is off because it is genuinely a very sad book, and most of the book is like emotional, and the title Happy Place and like the hot pink cover and like the cover art just didn't really go, and even the description like didn't fully capture it. So if I did have a criticism, I think it would be that, like, it's probably true. I'm glad I saw that because I went into this book knowing what I was getting, and I think maybe, if you read it without any context, like, I think you need to know it's not really a good hang, even though it does have happy ending. It's like really sad. Like, I was crying many times throughout this book.
Really?
Like,
I didn't cry, but I was a little stressed at points.
Yes,
I was like,
it's stressful too. So yeah, I think you just have to be in the right frame of mind. It's not like a poppy, happy romance book. It definitely has a lot of tension, and it can be sad, and it can scare you that they're not going to work out. So yeah, I think that would be my only critical thing. And the stuff we already talked about, but yeah, not much. I loved it.
let's see, I'm gonna Google. Did she already have another one planned?
She must. And I will follow her to the ends of the earth.
Henry, 2024. Let's see. I don't know, but okay, here's something. All of her books now are being adapted into movies.
Okay, yes. I was going to say about this book, I was probably a few chapters in, and I could already visualize this as a movie. I think this one the most out of all of them, maybe. Maybe People We Meet on Vacation also, because it's so, like, there's so many different settings in that one. It's like traveling. But something about this one, I don't know. It's like, I need this to be a movie so bad. And then I was like trying to think who's going to be when. Like, it has to be the perfect guy. I don't know. And then I was stressed about that. So.
I think Win gives me like Miles Teller vibes.
Oh, please.
Lord, I've seen what you've done for others.
I'm manifesting Miles Teller's Win.
I've seen what you can do for others, Lord.
Right.
Do it for me.
He definitely has. How tall is Miles Teller? Because Win gives me over 6 foot energy. You know
he
what I
gives
mean?
me approximately 6'2" energy.
Miles Teller is ... 6 feet and a half. Okay, you can
I'll
take
do it.
the part.
Yeah. And then for Harriet, she's described as having dark hair. I mean, she doesn't necessarily have to, like, whatever. It's just a movie, but no one necessarily stands out for me for Harriet. But yeah, I'm trying to like, who would I not mind seeing with Miles Teller?
I know. Like, who does he have good chemistry with, too?
I don't know.
Fancast. I'm seeing if anyone's put this together already. Happy Place fan casting on mycast.io. Apparently people have already done this, so let's see what they... Okay, oops, the link cannot be found.
A Dev Patel as Parth
Yes, that's valid.
for sure.
Okay, I don't see any fan casting. Anyways,
Let's put some thought to it, and then we'll create a fan
we'll circle
cast,
back.
and we'll put it on Instagram.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. Let's think
All right,
about
we'll do
this.
that. We'll think about it, and we'll put a fan cast on it. We'll put a
I was
fan
just
cast on
I'm most
Instagram.
concerned about when, because he can't be like, some things he says in the wrong actor's mouth would be cheesy, but in the right actor's could be romantic. So I just
Well,
feel like
here's the
there's
thing.
more pressure on him.
He can't, because Lynn has a little bit of low self-esteem.
Yes.
He can't be too hot.
He can't be too hot.
That's
No.
why I think Miles Teller
He's
is
perfect.
is right in there,
Yes.
because like while he's a very attractive person, he also has like a little bit of softness and like
And I think he can
goofiness.
play the like a little bit of insecurity well, like a little bit of, I'm not sure myself. So I'm really down with that. And now we'll be disappointed with whoever they actually cast,
Yeah,
unless it's him.
it probably won't be.
Okay. So what was your favorite part of this book? Favorite moment, favorite scene? I'll go first. For
Yeah, you go
me,
first.
I think my favorite moment was probably there's a million, but I think I would go with when they were hiding in the wine cellar, because I also liked the juxtaposition with like the first time they were playing. So in the past, when they weren't dating yet, they were playing sardines in the wine cellar, and then in the present, they accidentally get locked down there, and Wynn's like claustrophobic, and he's kind of having a panic attack down there, and she's like trying to calm him down, and so she's like, "Tell me about the first time we came down here together," and she had gone down there looking for him because they're playing sardines, obviously, so you have to go hide with the person. And he explains to her that he moved on purpose because he just wanted to be alone with her, and she had been like avoiding him. And that to me was like, I just loved that scene. I loved the visual of like the past them and then the present them being trapped down there together. And it was so like just well done. I don't know. I love that whole scene. So that was my favorite part, I think.
I think I love that part too. I think for me, it was one of the flashbacks where it's their first trip to Maine, and they're in the bedroom with the two twin beds, and they're like sharing a room.
Oh, yeah.
And their talks late into the night.
I love that too.
Um,
Because I think a lot of
love
times
that.
in romance books and movies and in real life, you're kind of like, do you guys even like each other?
Well, I think it's just like that's what makes it feel so real. Is like those are the
Yes.
kind of silly conversations you have when you're first dating somebody.
Exactly.
And that's like
Exactly.
how you fall in love. Like those are the things you
Yes.
talk about when you are falling in love with someone.
Yes. Also, I found this TikTok, and they have fan cast Wynn as Glenn Powell and Harriet as Aubrey Plaza.
I specifically don't want Glenn Powell.
Yes.
He's too pretty.
He's too hot, in my opinion. I would agree with you. But I'm just telling you what their fan cast
I'm against
was.
that.
Anti that. Anyways,
I could be okay with Aubrey Plaza, maybe.
I think that's a good-ish call, but she to me doesn't have
She's
the right
a little
vibes
old,
either.
right?
Yeah. And like, I don't know, she's a little too confident. Like, I don't think she could play the like Harriet to me is so like a little anxious ball of energy, but always trying to keep everyone happy all the time and like not show any cracks in her facade. And I think that's a specific vibe.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I don't want Glenn Powell.
No. Anyways, what anything else you want to say?
DM us at Redirect Podcast. Let us know who we should cast.
I know, I'm really like thinking about this. I'm deeply thinking about this, so
That was my favorite part. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've said everything I can say. This was a
I
great
know.
book.
I highly recommend it
I
if you
mean,
haven't read it yet. And
If you
just
haven't
listened to
read
this
it
whole
and you
thing.
listened to this whole thing, then you already know everything that happens, but I would still read it.
But also, there's stuff with the friend group. There's stuff
Yeah.
there's scenes that we didn't even talk about. So
There's
I
big
think
things that happen that we did not talk
yes. So I think go read it.
about. Go read it.
And let us know your thoughts.
Great. Well, I mean, I know we've both been reading this book this week. Is there any other share outs you have or any other content?
Yeah, I have read, yes. I've read a book. Okay, so semi-recently, I read The Identicals by Ellen Hildebrand. And she, to me, I'm like, okay, I think I do like her books now because I read a trilogy by her and I was like, maybe this is just a fluke. I don't know. I know she's very popular, obviously, but I wasn't sure. Like, I feel like sometimes, I don't know, she writes a lot of books in like similar settings. And so I'm like, are all her books kind of the same? But no, this was totally different. So I'm saying I think I'm on it, Ellen Hildebrand. I think I'm officially a fan. But this book was called The Identicals, and it follows two identical twins who are adults. And when they were 17, their parents divorced. And essentially, like, they're like, well, they're almost in college. We'll just each take one. And so the mom,
What?
it's like a grown-up Parent Trap kind of thing. So they each go to separate islands. So one of them is on Martha's Vineyard, and one of them is on Nantucket, and they are separated, and they both wanted to stay with the dad, which is kind of the point of tension between them. And so they're like now they're adults and they're total opposites. They barely have a relationship. They really don't talk at all because of something that happened several years in the past. And so you kind of find out more about that as the book goes on. But their father dies of heart failure or something. And so they are forced to kind of come together for the funeral. And then through a series of events, they kind of end up swapping lives. And at first I thought they were going to like no one would know that they had swapped and they were going to like pretend to be each other. But that was not the case. It was like they just, have stuff they each have to take care of on the other islands. And so, of course, things happen. But I think Ellen Hildebrand is so good at writing about these like complicated family dynamics. And even the people in this book, like sometimes they're making choices where you're like, this is a bad decision, but you still are rooting for them, like, so even when you don't agree with the characters, you are rooting for all of them and you want everything to work out. And like, there's a little romance, but it's really just about family. And it was a really good book. It was kind of long, but I couldn't stop reading it. It was kind of like this one. So I really liked it. So I would recommend it. And it's a standalone book. So that's always nice. You get to
That's
complete
nice
it.
to not feel
Yeah.
like you have to get sucked into a
Yeah.
series. Well, with that, I'm going to recommend a book that's the first in the series.
Perfect. Balance.
But it's really good. I read it for book club. It's called Get a Life, Chloe Brown. It's the first of the Brown Sisters trilogy. Have you read these?
No, but I've seen them a lot. Okay. So, yeah.
So, we're going to combine some really great stuff here. It's British. That's fun. It is a fun book that's a romance that I also learned a lot of stuff. So the main character, Chloe Brown, has fibromyalgia. She suffers from chronic pain and has a chronic illness. And at the very beginning of the book, she almost gets hit by a car and her life flashes before her eyes. And she realizes, like, I'm kind of unhappy with my life, like, because of my chronic illness, like, I don't live my life like I used to anymore. My pain really keeps me down or whatever. And so she decides to make a list and basically get a life for herself. Well, in the process of doing so, she moves into a new apartment and she kind of has like a rivals to lovers thing with the superintendent, Red, who is like a cool, tall, redheaded, like biker guy. And he, in exchange for her help on like making a website for his art, he's going to help her get a life, basically. And it's really cute. And it's also really cool. So the main character of this book, Chloe Brown, is a Black British woman who suffers from fibromyalgia. Talia Hibbert, the author, also shares those identities. She's a Black British woman with a chronic illness and who has autism, who's autistic. And some of these other identities show up with the other sisters later in the trilogy.
Yeah.
So the other books, I haven't read them, but I know them to be about the little sisters of Chloe.
Yeah.
It's really funny. It's fun. It's a little goofy and just like a really warm, cozy, delightful little weekend read.
Nice.
So
I like it. Love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye, you guys.
All right, you guys. See you next time.